here in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, we're not really used to heat, so anything over 80 degrees is absolutely like just boiling for us. And if you get to 100, it's like shuts the town down, right? Like nobody's operating, very few people are out and about. And most people who are just out and about, they're very much chill and relaxed and not doing very many things as far as like work goes. But, considering it was 4th of July last night, that's to be considered or to be expected of what would be, going on in town today as far as business goes, pretty slow. But that's actually been business anyway. Business has been slow for quite some time. And those of you who have been following me on my channel know that I work retail lumber for a living. And this is a big indicator of what's going on within the economy. And there is so much misunderstandings and misconceptions and just like, downright just fake news out there, propaganda, that it makes it very difficult to understand what's happening out there. And not understanding what's happening is incredibly frustrating. Now, one of the things that I've kind of learned over time, especially when it comes to being in a relationship, especially a long-term relationship like I've been in with my wife. We've been together since we were 18 years old. And, you go through a lot and you see a lot. One of the things that I found when people end up separating or, a relationship dissolves or, whatever, and regardless if it was like a really close, personal, like loving relationship, marriage or something of that nature, all the way down to business relationships or, just having acquaintances that are close, people who are, somewhat near you. And what a lot of times ends up happening is that you meet these people and they share a lot of similarities, like maybe, where you are in life, what you're doing, whatever. It just happens to be something that you guys share this similarity. Well, a lot of times what ends up happening, and especially when it comes to like personal relationship or business relationship or something of that nature, is somebody within this party starts to grow, right? They start to expand their horizons, they're opening up their mind, they're learning, they're doing something, and they're expanding and they're growing, right? And the other person is stagnant, not wanting to change, right? And this is where, everything starts getting very frustrating and a lot of aggravation and stuff like that starts to take place. And then eventually, there's the separation that comes from it. Well, I think about this from my own personal, just experiences that I've had. And I think about like a lot of the things that I have done, not only personally, that have put me in a bad position, but then a lot of the ways that I started viewing things that put me in a much better position. And it was literally a lot of it came down to just the way that I was thinking. Right? Well, one of the things that I found when I was not doing so well in life and I was down, in debt and drinking a lot and stuff, I wasn't trying to grow as a person. I wasn't trying to learn anything really new. I wasn't trying to do anything new. I was just kind of getting by day to day, being fairly stagnant. And, things weren't really working out very well for me. The moment that I started to move, well, then things started to start to work a little bit better for me and things started to happen in a better fashion. But I think about some of the relationships that I had at the time as I started to move, as I started losing a lot of the relationships, meaning it was a lot of the people that I used to drink with, right? My drinking buddies. Well, they were there and I was moving on. Like, I don't necessarily moving on to greater things away from drinking, but in my opinion, yeah, moving away from drinking moved me into better things. So yeah, I did, right? And so, unfortunate for these connections that I had, because I was moving and growing and trying to change who I was into a different person from one who was a consumer of alcohol, I ended up, breaking off and losing a lot of these relationships that I had out there with people that I didn't even mean to. It's just like it just kind of ended up happening that way, right? So people can find the same experience, whether it was in their marriage or, just a close, relationship that they had with somebody or whatever. You can see these things taking place. One of them was growing, the other one wasn't, staying stagnant, and then there's a separation that happens from it. Well, think about that from the economic point of view for just a minute, right? So here, every single person is their own economy. I mean, we interact with everybody else who has their own economy. And on the broader sense, yeah, that's the economy as a whole. But each and every single person acts individually. We do not experience everything the same way as everybody else does. We have positioned ourselves differently. We have different debts. We have different assets. We have different goals and ambitions. Nothing is the same between any one of us, and our economy is a reflection of that, because the broader economy is something that we interact with, but it isn't necessarily something that is the same for everybody out there. And that's important to understand, because the economy is a constant changing, evolving thing, right? There's always new technologies, there's always new possibilities, there's always new things that are coming into the economy, which shifts and changes the way that it operates and how things are done, right? Now, you notice that the older you get, the worse this is for you. Right? Like the older you get, the more you want it to stay the same because of your expectations of what it was that you had experienced through your life. You want it to be this way. You don't like these new technologies that are coming in. You don't want these new innovations. You don't want this stuff because it's so confusing and misunderstanding. And therefore, it is that separation that has now taken place between you and the economy. And you don't like it. Right? You want it to stay the same, just much like that relationship. You don't want them to grow and become a better person if you're staying still. Right? Because you're thinking, man, what's going to happen is they're going to eventually leave me, and that's exactly what's going to happen. See, the economy is a relationship that you have with it, right? And if you are of the type of position that says, man, I can't grow with this economy, I can't adapt to it, I can't take part in some of the things out here because I want it to be a different way, then you're going to find that there's going to be a separation that takes place between you and the economy. A lot of times we wonder, it was just like, how come I can't make the money? How come I don't get the chances? How come I don't have these opportunities that I see running for everybody else, but I don't have it? Maybe it's because of this relationship that you've had with it. And you're not growing as the person to try and grow with the economy at the same time, because it will leave you behind. There is no stopping. The economy is going to grow, right? And the older we get, the harder it is to grow with the economy. When we're young, it's no big deal. Yeah, sure, give me the cryptos, give me the phone, give me the, the apps, whatever, right? We don't, like, when you're young, you don't care. You're willing to adapt to anything out there. But the older you get, the less you want to do that. And then you get left behind. And this is the unfortunate circumstances of how the economy really rolls, and then our own psychological beliefs within ourselves as a human then keep us from growing as a person once we get to a certain age. You get to like 35, 40 years old, you're starting to get set on your ways. You get up to 60, 80 years old, yeah, go ahead and try and grow as a person at 80 years old when you've experienced everything through life and don't have a whole lot left to experience yet. And you're going to change the way and grow as a person. I mean, it's possible. People do it all the time. But most likely, it's not going to happen in just a free-flowing fashion like as if you were 20 years old. Like 20 years old, you adapt to anything out there. You're like, yeah, go ahead, bring it on. Let's have some fun. Right? But the older you get, the worse it is. And the more you say, no, I ain't doing this. Being frustrated with the economy is, a lot of it has to do with just not understanding why it's going down the way it is. You think about it. If you are an industrious person who has the money flowing to you, and you didn't even really try that hard to be the industrious person, you just came up with some pretty good ideas, and now all of a sudden you find yourself separated from all the people around you because you were able to figure out this game, right? Now think about that. People would call you lucky. They say, hey man, the universe provided an opportunity for you that they didn't get anywhere else. And I'm thinking, no man, you just took advantage of it, right? You were willing to adapt and grow and learn and be part of this thing. And now you have all the abundance in life that's like, flowing towards you, and people should call you lucky. And it was just like, no man, you're not lucky, you're adapting, man. You're dealing with the situation, you're making the best decisions for yourself, and you don't put your expectations on somebody else out there saying, hey, I want them to change the way they're doing things so that my life and the way that I'm conducting it is going to be the most appropriate, right? That's not the way it works. Never in the history of time has it gone down like that. And so again, knowing what's happening from the monetary policy point of view, right, doesn't leave you guessing on what it is that's going to be taking place out there from the Federal Reserve. I know what the Federal Reserve is up to. All these people who I read talking about how they're flying on the seat of their pants and they don't know what they're doing and they're making these snap decisions and it's all political and all this other stuff, don't get it. Like, literally don't get it. I have put together so many parts and pieces of their speeches and data and documents that there is no way that it's going to be anything other than the theories that I have put together when it comes to their monetary policy. And it's not me who's come up with it. It is their theories. They just don't explain it in a single shot. You have to put it all the pieces together. And over time, going back through all these speeches, as far back as to even before Ben Bernanke, but taking it back to Ben Bernanke's speech talking about deflation and how they're going to prevent it from ever occurring here in the United States, is a very telling speech. It talked about quantitative easing. It talked about forward guidance. It talked about the buying of foreign debt if there ever comes a time in which that they need to expand their menu in order to provide the liquidity to the world. I am sure that's going to take place someday, right? And then when people see that coming and they hear about it and they say, oh man, the Fed is making this really incredible decision in order to buy this foreign debt to expand their balance sheet and provide liquidity to the world, and everybody's going to be thinking this is a brand new concept, not realizing Ben Bernanke had suggested it 30 years earlier. Right? Those people will be frustrated, and they'll be making snap decisions, and what it is that they are going to be doing with their retirements and their investments and their business decisions will all be going off of this crazy propaganda that will be happening out there. Meanwhile, most of us who have been following this channel go, yeah, we all knew that was coming. This isn't news. I mean, it is news now that it's out there in Propaganda City, right? But it's not news to everybody who's been in town watching this happen, you know? All right, guys, I'm just kind of going off here. What is it? I'm facing homelessness. I am 42 years old, man, with a paid off 19-year-old son. I am a childhood sexual assault survivor in 2 different towns. I really need someone to take pity on me and help me. Okay. That was a weird comment to read for the first one. Alright, money grows if you invest correctly and hope you have stability to not pull it out. Sounds very, Brody says, that sounds very rough. You'll get through it if you can keep moving. Strength, that's right, man. Going from car living to homelessness next week, going to be interesting. And see, this is like, here's the thing. You know, I hear a lot of people talking about this situation, and now, what is it that needs to be done? Like, I mean, if you're, here you are, facing homelessness, you're moving from, you know, from apartment to a car, being in the car breaks down, now you're out on the streets, now what are you gonna do, right? Like, are you gonna sit around waiting for somebody else to do something? Like, you take all those things that happen to your life and they constantly knock you down. You build it up, they took it away from you. You want it acquired, you know, worked hard, acquired something, they burned down, right? All the stuff that this keeps constantly happening to you. Are you expecting somebody to step up and, like, I'm not trying to like victimize or like chew you out or anything like that, but all I guess I'm getting at is just like, from all that stuff that you had experienced, are you waiting for somebody to come up and do something about that for you? I mean, here's the saddest part about it is that nobody cares, right? Some people feel bad and when they hear the story, but they don't really care. And that's what's sad about it, is that most humans, when they hear the story, want to do something about it, but they certainly aren't going to go out and find people who have been victimized, who have been tortured, who have been hurt and beaten down and all that other stuff, and say, hey man, I'm glad I found you here. Let's get you off the street and get you moving again. There's people out there who'll do it, but not really, right? See, this is the thing. This is the universe teaching you lessons, and it sucks, some of the lessons that people learn, because they don't seem like they should be fair enough. Like, why did I get this? Why did I have to experience this particular thing happening to me? It doesn't seem fair, right? It doesn't seem right. And I totally get it, because I can't imagine some of the horrific things that some people have experienced in their life. I can't imagine it, right? But now you take this and you're going to say, man, this is the reason why I have a horrible experience and why I'm going to continue having a horrible experience in my world, is because of this event right here, right? And so you take that horrible event and you say, yeah, this is the meaning that I've given it, right? This is the reason why I can't succeed. This is why I fail. This is why I'm on the streets. This is why I'm, like, you know, sucking at life, is because of all this stuff that happened to me. And I'm, you know, and I'm going to suffer the consequences after the rest of my life. And that's what a lot of people end up doing. You know, I think about it personally, some of the things that I had experienced, right? It was just like, man, I can't find a job. I can't make my payments. I'm going into debt. I'm losing everything. I'm drinking. I'm depressed. I've lost my house. My dad doesn't like me in my house, in the house there, so he's kicking me out of that one. It's just like, great. Everything, all this stuff that's just piling up. Yeah, I mean, it's my little bitch fest, right? That I put out there. Doesn't really match up to somebody else's pain and what they have experienced. But if I hadn't gone through that, I never would have studied the economics. I never would have started the Uneducated Economist. I never would have done all the stuff that I am doing right now. I never would have done any of this stuff had I not experienced some of the painful experiences that I did. Otherwise, I would have been doing something else. I wouldn't have been doing this. And I'm so glad I'm doing this. Like, I can't imagine myself doing anything but this. And I want to grow this even more. And I want it to be big. And I want it to be huge. And I want, all the stuff, like everything the imagination can come up with. I want all that stuff, but I look back and I think, man, how did I get here? I got here because I had painful experiences that forced me into it. And that's all it comes down to. Without it, you may never experience some of the wonderful things that come from it. And it's sad to think that, but a lot of times you need to go through pain, right? You need this, like, the universe is saying it. Yeah, you need to have this painful experience. And after you have that painful experience, you will have learned lessons in life that are now going to benefit you immensely. Right? And that's like, and it's so hard to see, when you have such stories of horrific events happening, especially when you're a child, Close friend of mine, I don't want to tell a story. Never mind. Moving on. Let's see here. Lost my job and apartment in the same month. Thank goodness for a friend with a couch. All right. I lost 17K in the market, then learned what I did wrong. Now I am sitting in butter. All right. Now, house on nice property, 2 vehicles, no debt except mortgage. Yeah. You lost that job and apartment way before you ended up on the couch. You rock, bro. Yeah, this is like, when I think about like some of the conditions in which that I suffered the most pain from, is definitely some of the biggest lessons that I have learned. And here's the thing, like anytime that I had ever gone for a pleasurable experience, like, man, whatever, like, going into the alcohol, going into whatever, it always resulted in a painful experience. So think about that for just a minute. Like, if you chase pleasure, you'll experience pain. If you experience pain and you give it the meaning of, I'm going to grow and learn and take a lesson from this, you will experience pleasure from it. That's how the universe works. It's a polarizing event, right? Just like anything else out there, everything has a positive, negative, a yin and yang, whatever you want to call to it, right? There's a polarity that is experienced. If you are pushing yourself into pleasure, then the polarity is going to pull you into pain. All right? It's just like, you can't help it. It's like the universe needs that balance to take place. So if you are constantly pushing not necessarily pushing into painful experiences, but pushing excellence, right? You know that getting up and going to work on time isn't fun, but you have to do it. And the more you do it on time, you know that the experience that you get from showing up to work on time results in better pay. It results in better opportunities for you. You're the one who gets, like, the chances for moving up in the companies or whatever, just because of your dedication to showing up every single day. Right? Even on the days you don't feel it, it's just like, man, I feel sick, I want to call in, but nope, I'm going to show up, right? Even though, because that's the right thing to do, right? So you push through this painful experience of being sick at work, and the dedication that you had from that then gives you the opportunities to do other things that maybe other people who aren't given that opportunity because they call in all the time or something. It's just, it's everything in life is that way. And so it's easy. If you're just constantly chasing excellence, it won't help. It's almost as if the universe can't help but to provide you with some sort of abundance because you're doing that. right? But if you're sitting around every day wondering why it is that you can't make ends meet, or why it is that you lost your job, or why it is that chick left you, or why it is that, all these horrible things are constantly happening to you, but you're not actually saying, okay, I'm going to set all that stuff aside. Don't forget about it. It's there, right? Don't bury that stuff. Know that it does exist. Observe it, look at it, and then let it go, right? And move on. Move on to things that are going to be, chasing that excellence in your life. You know when you're doing it. You know when you're doing it, and when you're not. Right? Every single day when you're getting up and you're sitting there on the couch, sitting there on the couch smoking weed, playing video games, that is not chasing excellence. It might be cool, it might be fun, you might have done that already, and you're just chilling out and relaxing now. But if this is your life and this is what you're pursuing, wondering what it is that you're supposed to be doing in the world, and you're playing video games and smoking weed, boom, stop that. Stop that right there. Go find something else that chases excellence throughout the day, and then you can go and chill out on the couch. And even then, you probably won't want to, because the more you start chasing excellence, the dopamine high that you get off of pursuing business, off of pursuing sales, off of pursuing that next thing, is actually a better high than all the highs that you have ever had doing anything else. It's like this higher vibration makes you feel elevated in a way that no dope can do, right? It's just like it's something that's all on its own. And the more you experience it, the more you want to experience it. And then you see these people out there who made like millions of dollars in a couple of years, and they said, how do you do it? They're like, well, I was just really dedicated to what I was doing and all this other stuff. No, they were high as a kite, but they were high on vibration. They weren't high on anything else. Well, like some of them might have been high on something else, but for the most part, no, that's not it. What drives you is that feeling of excellence that you are pursuing and wanting more of it. Right? Pretty soon, it doesn't matter how much you've acquired. It's just about, pursuing the next good, right thing. All right, I am so grateful you're talking about this. I worked pretty hard for 8 years to learn code. I quit a few times, but never fully. I get to work from home now for pretty great company. Yeah, right. I think Simon is describing how he got started with YouTube. Yeah, that's not too far off. Like, it wasn't so much that how I figured it out and did it, is that I did it and then I had to go back and figure out how that happened, right? And I think that's probably like I reversed engineering like what happened to me, because I was always a hard worker. This is the thing. I was always a dedicated hard worker. When I graduated high school, I was working at a lumber yard. I was building loads, helping customers, unloading trucks, doing all that stuff for the yard. And I eventually worked myself up into the yard foreman position. I was ordering all the materials, running dispatch, doing all this stuff, and I was doing it at a fairly young age. I was doing it like at 23, 24 years old, right? I had completely like mastered everything that was needing to be done out there in the yard, and I was really good at it. In fact, corporate knew about me and would, come down, and like the owner of the company come down and talk to me and talk about how efficient I ran the yard and all this other stuff. Now, although I was getting okay pay, I mean, it's just a lumberyard, so you're driving forklifts. It's not like you're going to get paid a super crap ton of money for doing that or anything. But I think about it, I would work hard all day, and then I would go and drink beer all night, right? And that's what I would do. That's what I did for 20 years. Like, that's how I lived. Like, that's ultimately how I saw the old man do it, right? But he was in the Coast Guard, so it was a little bit different. But ultimately, that's what he would do, right? You go dedicated, work hard every day, show up, never late, never called in, never any of that stuff, and then you would drink beer all night. So that's how you do it, right? That's how you live life. And so as long as you're working hard and taking care of your bills, you can drink as much beer as you want. And that's literally how I felt. Like, seriously, just like that. And I thought, man, I don't understand how I can't, like, how come I don't have how come I'm not got all this stuff going on? How come I'm going into debt? How come all this other things? And it was because I didn't pursue excellence all the time. I would pursue excellence and then waste all that pursuing of excellence by dumping beer all over it throughout the night. And then the next day have to do it all over again. So I never, ever excelled beyond what I would do that day. Yeah. And I realized that. I finally come to that understanding. It was just like, dude, if you're going to pursue excellence all day, don't waste it by dumping beer all over it all night. Okay? So I pursued excellence all day, and then I attempted to pursue excellence after that. And that's really starting the YouTube channel and trying to figure out how it is that I was going to come up with the next video, and, engaging in the comment section and trying to make connections with other people and doing collaborations, and eventually, building this thing up. It started occupying so much of my time. I didn't have time to waste, right? I don't have time to screw around with pleasurable experiences that screw my life up. I don't have time for that anymore, you know? I mean, I don't have time for people who are not, on the same level of chasing excellence and moving and advancing their life. I can't. I mean, I can spend a day, but I can't engage much more after that. You know, I gotta go chase this excellence. I can't sit around here with these pleasurable experiences, because I know the only thing that's going to result in is a fall in my abundance, a fall in my, everything that I built. Everything will start to fall apart, right? And it's just how it goes. So, people are saying, yeah, but you never have any fun. I don't think you realize it. It's just like the pursuing of excellence is the fun, right? That is the fun. And it's hard at first because your dopamine is used to getting like little TikTok hits or video game hits or just whatever kind of hits from it. But you weren't getting the hits from working. Working was dull and it sucks and I hate it, right? But once you figure it out to the point that work is fun, and work is awesome, work is excellence, work does make me feel good, and I'm glad I'm doing it. And every sale, and every connection, and every video that I put out is just making me feel that much better about doing it. That's where the dopamine comes from, is from chasing this excellence. Pretty soon, that's all you want to do, is just be in that pursuit of excellence. You don't want, like, I don't even have time. People are like, hey man, you want to go and screw off for a while? No, I don't. Right? I really, like, I do. I really want to. Like, I would love to go screw off, but I really don't, because I don't have time. I don't have time to screw off. You know? Like, if, the moment that I was just like, hey, I need to go and take some time for myself, I put everything down, I go and I do that, I take that time, and then I'm back at it again. Right? Okay, where are we at here, guys? Simon, do you drink AF beer? What's AF beer? It's a refreshing treat which is nearly as enjoyable as the real beer, but without the downside. I mean, I drink non-alcoholic beer. Like, I mean, I've had quite a few of those. They're starting to come out with some pretty decent ones. But I haven't had any alcohol to drink in, like, I don't know, 8-9 years, something like that. They drink buoys in Astoria. Yeah, they also drink Fort George. Okay, Astoria, just alcohol free. Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely, I do. Okay, I'm motivated to go work on the 10,000 fossil in my garage. Peace out. $10,000 fossil. All right. Gotta go right now. Did you have a beer for the 4th, Simon? I didn't. No, I haven't drank. Like, I never cheat on with the alcohol. I just don't do it. I've given that up, and I have no. See, here's the thing. Like, I don't need like anything to tell me not to drink. Like, I don't need, like, people are like, man, I got my family telling me not to. I got all this stuff. I don't have anything out there. Like, I don't need anything to tell me not to drink. I mean, there's nothing out there that stops me. If I wanted to, I could go out there and drink, right? Here's the thing. Like, what stops me from drinking is that I cannot get out of my head. Like, I, like, let go of everything out there. Like, I let go of all the money, all the waste, all the stuff. Like, I've let everything go. The only thing I have not let go of is the mountain of beer cans that sits behind the garage of the house that I was attempting to buy. And I think about all the wasted money and time and effort and everything that sits on that mountain of beer cans. And if I was to crack even one beer, I would be starting that mountain over again. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Like, I can't even, like, it's such a disgusting feeling that I have that it's all I need. And I don't need it. I don't, like, Drinking is not something that I have any desire to do, except for about 4 o'clock every single day. All right. From about 4 to 4:30, it really hits you, and then it fades away pretty quick. As soon as I get in the truck and I start driving, it's gone. All right. I tried doing the gym thing, couldn't handle all the diversity. I felt like everyone was staring at me being the only white man in the entire gym. Okay. 100% it's a waste. Put it into savings. I feel guilty taking vacation with my family since it takes time away from my biz. Anyone else? See, this is the thing, like, I feel guilty about doing things for the business, taking time away from my family. But the thing is that I feel that if I don't take time to do the business, then I wouldn't have the time to do the things with my family. And I think this is an unfortunate circumstance for a lot of, like, for high performing people. And that's what I consider, like, people who are working their day job, working a side hustle, working their business, working all these things. I consider, like, them high performance people, regardless of where they are in wealth or financial status or anything like that. You're putting in that kind of thing, you're a high performance person. And unfortunate for high performance people is they don't give a lot of time to their family, right? Because they have all these other things, all these other people are dependent, especially those who are in a business in which that they have employees, right? Because now all of a sudden their employees become a little bit more of an importance to them than even anything they got going on, because they have all these families that they are, like, relying on them to make sure that they can continue to have a job, to get paid, to provide for these families. And that's a very overwhelming, like, responsibility that a lot of business owners end up taking on. And so they end up focusing so much on that to make sure that this stays together for all these people out there who are dependent upon them, that they end up setting their family aside and they don't pay as much attention to their family. And that's one of the things that I'm really, like, trying to very much not do, right? To try and spend as much time with my kids as I can, just, to be there, right? Not just to be in presence with them, but to actually be there, right? Engaging in conversation, talking with them about the things that they got going on in their lives. It's not a matter of just being in the same room with them, but it's a matter of being engaged in their things, in their lives, in their, their stuff that they have going on. And it's hard, especially when you got so many things that you're trying to get done at once, and everything is on the plate, right? You got so many things going on, and it's just like, man, taking a half an hour is important in all respects of it, right? Like, it's important for the business, it's important for the family, it's important for you, it's important in every way. And if there's a 30-minute opportunity right there, right, you take it. Most people don't realize that 30-minute opportunity is so valuable, because they're sitting around wasting 30 minutes all day long, playing the video game, smoking the weed, doing whatever. They're not chasing excellence so much, being that high performance person, that 30 minutes means so much, right? Like, that's one of the reasons why I come out here and I do these videos on my lunch, right? Before I started the video, my family was standing right here. They brought me this water. They said, okay, you're going to do the video. We'll see you after work. And then they took off, right, to go do their thing. I do the video, and then after work, hopefully we'll have something that we'll have planned to hang out for the Friday evening. Go to the movies, go to the beach, go do something, spend some time with that family. But I wouldn't be surprised if I found another opportunity to come out for a couple more hours and get some more video out, if that opportunity presents itself. Because every single minute needs to be occupied with something. It can't be wasted. We're chasing excellence here. That's it. Like, you got to take the time, but you always got to be moving, right? All right. Have you ever had a fear of money, fear of investing? If yes, how did you overcome it? Fear. Fear is a very interesting emotion, feeling that carries within you. There is no natural fear. All fear is learned. You know that? that all fear is learned. The only fear that you're actually naturally born with is the fear of loud noises and like the fear of falling. That's it. Those are the only two fears that you are naturally like given, as a human. Everything else you had to learn. You had to learn to be in fear of all the things that you are scared of. Think about that for just a minute. You learned this behavior growing up, or some experience within your lives or something gave you this feeling of being in fear. But you didn't naturally have it. There is no natural feeling of fear. The only one is falling in loud noises. That's it. Everything else is learned. So you learn that fear. Figure out how. Figure out why. Observe the feeling of the fear that you have in investing in money. Why do you have this fear? What is it that's scaring you? Right? Observe the fear that you have and then let it go. Let go of the fear. Right? Because everything, magic is found in the unknown, and the unknown is fearful. And this is the thing, like if you are worried because you don't know what the outcome is going to be, that's the magical experience that takes place. Right? Yeah, you might get hurt from it, but that's the pain, the lesson that you learn, not to do that again. Right? Maybe you will experience it again. Don't do it. Right? Lessons are repeated until learned. So even if you are burned because you were investing or something like that nature, that's a lesson. You got to say, okay, that was the consequence of trying to do it this way. I should have been doing something different. What is it that happened? I need to learn from this. Right? And you do that until eventually you figure out that you got your lessons, all the lessons learned, and now you're moving on and you're into better things. Right? But fear is a negative feeling that will then bring negative outcomes to you. Right? Fear puts energy into your extremities. Right? Putting awareness is different from putting the energy out there. Right? Like it's kind of the same thing, but when you're in fear, the energy is out there in your feet and your hands. You're ready to fight or flight. Right? Putting the awareness in your hands and feet, and then looking at feeling the separation between you and everything else out there, then centers the energy back into you. Right? Literally the energy into your hands and feet, putting the awareness into your hands and feet, and then feeling the separation between you and everything else out there, between me and the wheel, the dashboard, between me and the ship out there, right? The distance, the feeling of that separation between the two, it puts the energy back into you. You feel positive about the outcome, and I guarantee you positive things will start to flow towards you. The universe can't help but to do this. It's the polarization of it, right? So again, like living in fear, right? Don't live in fear. Fear is cool. Like fear is where the unknown is, right? That's where the magic happens. So if you're feeling the sense of fear, that's actually a fairly good thing to be in, right? I mean, really, because if you don't feel the fear, if you're not worried, if you're not, without the anxiety or whatever is going to come, if you don't have that, then you're not moving into like a new experience. You're not moving into a magical thing that could take place, right? You're just going to experience the same old dull thing that you have experienced, because that's not fearful. That's familiar. And it may suck, but it doesn't matter, because it's familiar, you're going to enjoy it, even if you don't like it. That's what's weird, right? Like how many times have you seen people stay in a toxic relationship because that's what's familiar to them, and so they just stay it, and they say they love this person, right? They love it, and they really don't. All right, what time is it? Okay. I guess I gotta call it quits. Fear is your friend, that's right. Some truth there, Who is afraid? All right, the polarization of the nation. Fear is what got me through high school without getting any of the girls pregnant. Huh. Well, think about the outcome, right? Thanks, you eat. Good stuff. Bury the fear under sacks of gold. You have to live in the mindset that whatever the outcome, that you will be okay. Did Astoria have good fireworks show? Astoria had a great fireworks display. It's cool because they do it out there in the middle of the river on a barge, and so it's like a really nice big view of it. Everybody all over town can see them, and yeah, it was a pretty decent display. I thought it was good. All right. Should I respond to my ex from 4 years ago? I have no idea, bro. That is entirely up to you. All right. Hello from Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham. Sorry. Hope you have a great weekend or good weekend. You too. I wish I got my high school look pregnant. All right. I had to work last night. All right. That sucks. All right. Have a great day, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. That was a lot of fun. Left a link down in the description talking about the neutral interest rate and how the neutral interest rate is rising, making the Fed standing still on their Fed funds rate less restrictive on the economy. How many times have you heard me say this, right? This is one of the reasons why you have such a resilient economy, with people wondering how or when the Fed is going to cut, or if they're going to cut, or maybe inflation's going to come back. People have no clue about what's happening, but then again, very few people are following the neutral interest rate. There's an article down in the description that talks about it, something that we have talked about quite a bit on this channel. So anyway, I just wanted to leave you guys with that. Uneducated Economist, you let me know.